Good morning, Internet, or afternoon, or evening, or middle of the night, or whatever time of day or night it may happen to be, wherever you are right now. My name is SJ, and today I wanted to talk about having real life adventures. Um, so, uh, I didn't post a blog last week, because I was having a real life adventure. Um, so that's why there wasn't one. And I kind of meant to do it, but I just didn't. Partially because I was thinking I might hear back from grad school, but I didn't. So that sucks. I'm still kind of in limbo about that, if you care. Uh, so the thing that I did last week, because I was on spring break, that was really, really fun, was I took a megabus up to Nashville for the Welcome to Night Vale live show that was up there. And that was super duper fun. Like, the live show was great. I loved every second of it. It was just super fun, especially meeting all those other fans who were up there. That was really cool. Because I know like 3 people who are also into Welcome to Night Vale. And unfortunately none of them are as into it as I am, because I'm kind of really crazy about it. But there were people there who were even crazier about it than I was, and that was really awesome. And I met some really cool people, and we all had grand old time. But the thing that was most fun about it, I think, was that I bought the tickets on my own. I bought the Megabus tickets on my own. And if you don't know what Megabus is, it's basically this really cheap bus service where you can go basically anywhere, at least on the eastern seaboard. They go up to like DC, they go to Nashville, they go to Chattanooga, and places in North Carolina. They go down to New Orleans. And they have tickets for like as low as $1, but sometimes as expensive as like $75, depending on where you're going. I think actually they go up to Minnesota as well. Anyway, they're really cool, and if you want to go somewhere for really cheap, you should check them out. But this isn't a Megabus advertisement. I'm not sponsored by Megabus. I'm not sponsored by anybody except possibly my parents, because they send me money when I ask them. Yeah, at any rate, so I took a bus up to Nashville, and the bus left Atlanta, wow, Atlanta, I say it like a northerner now, Atlanta, excuse me, at 6 o'clock in the morning, which down here, was before sunrise, by, like an hour. So there were a whole bunch of people just, like, standing out in the cold at this bus stop. It was, like, pitch black. We were all, like, huddled into lines, shivering, and people were, complaining about how the bus was late, and, is that our bus? No, that's a different bus. That one's going to New Orleans. Is that our bus? No, that one's going to Washington, D.C. And, people were getting really agitated and really angry, and we were all, like, huddled and shivering because the wind was blowing and it was, like, 40 degrees. And I was sitting there going, wow, this is great! This is really exciting! This is super cool! Because it was. I get really, really excited about going places. I really like going places. So yeah, I got on the bus, and the bus got to Nashville at like 9:30 in the morning, and the show I was going to, the doors didn't even open until 7 p.m. So I was basically just in Nashville all by myself for like 11 hours. Don't check my math on that one because I can't do math. Anyway, so I just I went and found somewhere to get breakfast. I sat around and wrote for a really long time. I wandered around the city, downtown area, and I found a greenway by the river, which was really cool. So I wandered around on that for a while. Came back and found a coffee shop with Wi-Fi, and basically just chilled out, just wandered around the city all day, and it was great. It was really, really fun. And then the show was awesome, and then I went home the next day after staying with a friend, who I'm eternally grateful to for letting me stay there, because otherwise I would have had to find, like, a Waffle House or something and just stayed awake all night, which I could have done, but it wouldn't have been a lot of fun. Anyway, so that's the kind of adventure that I really like to go on, and I highly recommend it to everybody, to just go somewhere with friends or on your own. I really like going on adventures on my own because it gives me a real sense of of independence, of really being an adult and being able to do whatever I want. And that's a really cool thing to do. And so often on the internet, I see people saying things like, you know, I wish my life were a book. I wish I were in a movie, or you know, this fandom were real. Because then, you know, I could have adventures and life would be exciting, because, you know, life is really boring and all I do is be on the internet and read stories. And yeah, that's a pretty boring life. And I understand that it's really hard to have adventures, because in real life, adventures don't just happen. You don't find the One Ring on your uncle's hearth. You don't pull the sword out of the stone. You don't get a letter from Hogwarts. In real life, adventures don't come to you. You have to go to them. And this is actually easier than you might think. My eternal motto is, it's not an adventure unless you're lost or bleeding. Which sounds really weird, like now that I say it out loud. I usually just say it in my head. But really, that's kind of how I define adventures, is that if you're not doing something that gives you a couple scars on your knees, or that gets you a little bit lost and a little bit concerned and a little bit afraid, of course it's not exciting. You know, if you spend your whole life doing things that are safe and expected, you're never going to have any adventures. You're never going to do anything that's really exciting or thrilling. It's all going to be very bland. So my recommendation to people who feel like their lives are boring, who feel like they would like to be in a story, in an adventure, is go do something you've never done before. Go find a park in your home city and just wander around until you have no idea where you are. You know, find a place that's off the beaten path and find something that you've never seen before. Even if it's just like, oh wow, somebody made this little clay house on the side of this rock, or, oh hey man, look, a turtle. That's really fun. That's really fun to do. And getting a little bit lost, I think, is one of the most fun things there is. It's nice in a city like Atlanta. I keep saying it like that. It's nice in a city like Atlanta, where you have, if you don't know Atlanta, there's the Pencil Building, which is this really tall skyscraper that I think belongs to Bank of America, but it looks like a pencil. And it's very tall, and it's very easy to see from basically everywhere in Atlanta. So you can wander around Atlanta all day and not get lost, because you just like, oh, there's the Pencil Building, I go that way. So that's why I like wandering around Atlanta. Especially places like, you know, big parks, where you can kind of go off the beaten path a little bit. So that's really fun. Also, going to places you've never been, like different cities. That's really fun too. And if you want to go with your friends, that's really cool. Hanging out with friends is really fun. And I highly recommend it, and I support it. But also going alone is really fun. And I think that there's something very different about going to a place by yourself, that going places with your friends can't really compare to. Because if you're with your friends, you're going to hang out with your friends. You're not going to meet any new people. There's going to have to be a consensus about where you go. And impulsivity is a lot harder when you're with other people. And I think that going places on your own just gives you the power to just be like, that looks really cool, I'm going to go there. And then you just do. You don't have to wait for consent from anybody. You don't have to check in with anyone. You can just go. And that's really, really fun. And I really like doing that. Now, I'm not saying that you should go out to a strange city and wander around all by yourself completely unprepared. Because when I did this, I had a friend who was in Nashville, who I was going to spend the night with, and I arranged it beforehand, and I had his number, I had, you know, everything that I needed. So if I got lost, or if I got in trouble, if I couldn't find my way back to where I needed to be, I could call him and be like, hey man, I'm super lost, could you come get me? So having a backup plan is really important. having a safety net is really important. I don't think you should ever go somewhere where you don't have the option to call somebody for help. And, if you do go to a city where you don't have anybody like that, calling the police to say, hey, I'm super lost, and I don't know where I am, and I really need help. Police are generally really cool people, and they will most likely help you get back to where you need to be, and you will not get in trouble for it. I know a lot of people who think that police are there to get people in trouble, and that is not true. They do that, but that's not what they're there for. Police are fundamentally there to keep you safe. So relying on them as a last resort is perfectly okay. They're especially useful if creepy people start following you, which has never happened to me. Fortunately, I feel very fortunate that that's never happened. But if it had, I can guarantee that probably my first move would have been, well, where's the nearest police station? Because there is no way they're going to follow me in there. Unless they have balls of steel. And even then, they follow me in there, I'm like, dude, this guy's following me. Do something about it. And most likely they will, because police are generally really cool. So yeah, going places and having adventures is really fun. Don't trespass if you can avoid it. I understand that if you're wandering around getting lost, you may accidentally stumble onto somebody else's property, but don't, hop fences, because that is a very quick way to get into a lot of trouble. Especially if you live in the South, where we really like our guns, and people get shot for being on the wrong property. So don't trespass if you can avoid it. Yeah. That's a bad move. But, just take precautions if you're gonna go wandering around, or even if you're gonna go driving around. I understand that some people have cars and like to drive. I am not among those privileged ones who have cars. I'm also not among those privileged ones who is legally allowed to drive. So I generally take my adventures on foot. But if you do like driving, I went on a road trip this past summer with one of my friends out to the Grand Canyon. We just kind of were like, well, let's get our shit together and we will drive to the Grand Canyon. And we did. And it was really, really fun. It's probably one of my favorite things I've ever done. Partially because it was just really spontaneous and just like, well, let's just go. And I think spontaneity is really important if you want to have a good adventure. So yeah, I've been rambling for a really long time, and I've completely forgotten what I was talking about. But basically, just if your life is lacking adventure, and you feel like you want cool things to happen, go find a forest and climb a tree, or find a river and follow it back as far as you can. Go wander around downtown and find a cool little indie store that you didn't know existed. Take your friends and hop in a car and drive out somewhere that you've never been before. You have no idea what to expect. Just do something strange and different and out of your comfort zone. And be safe about it, because you don't want to get into any actual danger. Actual danger makes for good stories later, but it's also, unsurprisingly, really dangerous. And it's not going to be much fun if you actually get really hurt. I say it's not an adventure unless you're lost or bleeding, but when I say bleeding, I mean just a scraped knee. I don't mean being stabbed, because that would not be fun. So, yeah, don't go hiking alone. That's a big one. It's really fun, but if you've seen 127 Hours, you know why not to go hiking alone. So yeah, take precautions, but have fun. I guess really the thing that inspired me to talk about this was that while I was up in Nashville, I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, yeah, I'm just up here by myself, just kind of wandering around. And he said, man, I really wish I could do something like that. And my immediate reaction was, you can. You just do it. And I realized that a lot of people don't really realize, even when they're adults, that they have the freedom to go wherever they want. And it's difficult for people who are in high school, I understand that. Or even younger. I have no idea what my demographic is on these things. But I assume most of the people watching this are college-aged. Or older. It doesn't matter. But you have the ability to go where you want. Especially when you get to college. And if you're not in college yet, man, you are in for a treat. Because I think back with befuddlement upon the days when I had to wake up at 6 o'clock every morning, and I was in school for like 6 hours a day, maybe even 8, I don't even remember, it was a really long time ago, because I have no idea how I lived like that. It was awful. Not at the time, because I was used to it, but having been in college, I could never do that again. So yeah, I got really off topic again. This happens. But you have the power to do things that you think are fun. Excuse me. You have the power to go on adventures. You have the power to do what you want with your life and your free time, especially. Oh God, sorry. So take advantage of that. Take advantage of your freedom and your ability to do things that you haven't really done before. And if you are afraid to go places alone, then you don't have to. Go places with 1 or 2 friends, or go on very short excursions by yourself. That's kind of how I started. I started going on long walks by myself. It started as just like I would walk around campus on my own. And then I started walking farther and farther because I really like walking. I would go on like 4-hour walks by myself, like at least once a week. I don't really do that anymore because I don't have time. But at one point I walked 26 miles to Alpharetta because I could. Actually, well, it was to see if I could. I do a lot of things because I don't know if I can and I want to find out. And that took 9 hours. I walked by myself for 9 hours. The last 3 hours were in the rain, so that was fun. I'm not even being sarcastic, it was really fun. So, do things that you're not sure you're capable of to find out if you are. Because testing the limits of yourself is really, really fun. And it's really fun when you accomplish things that you don't know if you can do. And it's one of the most fulfilling activities I think you can participate in as a human being. So yeah, if you aren't comfortable being on your own, then taking small excursions by yourself is a good way to get more comfortable. But if you're really, really not comfortable, then you don't have to. Do whatever makes you happy. This is just me speaking from personal experience. And if you feel like in order to go around on I forgot how to talk for a second there, sorry. If you feel like you need to bring methods of defense with you when you go on a walk, pepper spray is great. I feel like pepper spray is probably the best thing you can take with you, just because it's difficult for other people to turn it against you. That's how I feel about that. But I won't go into that because that's a can of worms that I don't want to open. But yeah, you do whatever makes you feel comfortable. Do whatever you think you need to feel safe. But don't let safety take away your freedom. Because there are a lot of people who stay at home all their lives, who never go on adventures, who never do anything exciting, because they're afraid. And that to me is really sad. That's something unfortunate that I kind of wish nobody had to go through. To live your whole life without doing anything exciting. So that's kind of really why I'm making this, is because I want other people to know that they can do these things, that these things are possible in the world we live in today. And honestly, like, 99% of strangers are not actually axe murderers. Nor are they rapists, nor are they, the bad things that you hear about. 99% of strangers are just ordinary people. And they will not mess with you, and they will not harass you, and they will not try to hurt you. In fact, most of the people I've run into when wandering around by myself have been friendly and helpful. However, if you don't have a good sense of reading people, if you can't tell if somebody is being creepy, you probably should not talk to strangers. Because it's a very important skill to have, to be able to tell if someone is being kind of creepy, because that's the point at which you just need to go. Especially if you're on your own. So, yeah, really what this boils down to is have fun but be safe. And if you have fun in different ways, that's really cool. This is just my experience with how to have adventures. If you feel your life is lacking excitement, because this is how I find excitement in my life, is to do really strange and spontaneous things that my friends don't understand why I do them. My family doesn't really understand why I do them either, but that's okay. Maybe after this they will. So I guess that's about it. I'm gonna keep trying to post one of these every week. I may not succeed, as we saw last week. Sometimes I'm doing other things and I just forget. But, so look forward to more of these. I will probably continue to ramble, and stall and make lots of weird noises with my mouth, as I forget what I was talking about. But thank you all so much for watching. I really like doing these, and I hope that you've gained at least something from this, whether it be good advice or just entertainment in watching me try to remember how to talk. So yeah, there's all of that. But again, thank you. This is SJ, signing off.